There we go. Wow. I'll do anything to fly these days, and this is going to be the ultimate way to fly, right? Welcome to Thailand Tourism Forum 2022. And we're here in person. We're here live today. Thai tourism standing together, right? That's what we're talking about today. So thank you for joining us. Again, it's an in-person event because hotels aren't about products, they're about people, okay? That's one of the most important things. But when I look at the faces today, I can understand everybody has a pandemic journey, okay? Let me just join you and maybe speak about my pandemic journey, okay? When I was 5 years old, my father's a dentist, and we went to the Statler Hilton Hotel, okay? No pitch there, but in New York City, I dressed in my nice suit. I was fascinated crawling down the steps of the hotel, seeing the back. I crawled into the kitchen and said, "How are you guys?" Talking to the chef and everything else. It was a wondrous place, right? And I learned to love travel. That's something to this day, and I still remember the time being 5 years old. It was also the last time I wore a suit, okay? 2 years ago, our lives changed. Everything changed in the world and the pandemic hit. And we all wondered, when was the bounce? I don't know. Charlie, give me the ball. Well, okay. I haven't talked to David Keane, and we all wondered, we're 1 month in the pandemic, we're 2 months in the pandemic, when is it going to end, right? When is this thing going to end? And it didn't. Our lives changed, right? In the blink of a second, everything in tourism changed, okay? And what I understand is I had to find new hobbies. I took up fishing. I said, maybe this is something else I can do. It's locked down. We'll try fishing, try something else new, right? There's nothing else to do. I also became an advocate. I started talking to my dog, Charlie. This is my dog, Charlie, right? In 2019, I traveled 2/3 of the year. Charlie often talked to me and said, "Why are you still here?" It was, please, just leave me alone, right? It was too much talking as well. I also took up other things as well. Coffee shop photography, right? That's how I spent days during the lockdown. It's the ultimate cafe latte and everything else. Even the people in the coffee shop said, "When are you leaving?" What we all learned was, basically, we're fucked, okay? At the end of the day, in the pandemic, we understood there was no bounce. Sorry, Charlie, take the ball back, okay? The bounce didn't come. And 2 years on, we still struggle. But what I also learned is something very significant, right? Is when you get down to your hands and knees, there's two things I understand, okay? It hurts standing on your knees, that's the first thing, right? But the other is there's only upside. There's only a sky above, there's upside in this pandemic. And what that means is we can rethink our lives, we can rethink the travel business, we can rethink hotels in Thailand, and redo things that we could never do. We had time to think and create things and reinvent ourselves. So I started to reinvent myself as well. I started doing webinars with David Johnson. In the span of 2 years, we did 36 webinars. We traveled. I went to Japan. We went to the White House there as well. It was winter. In 35 webinars, we had 30,000 people we reached out. And what I learned was, when we got webinars in Bali, in Sri Lanka, in Niseko in Japan, in Bangkok, people in this industry needed to talk. People in this industry needed a way to voice their opinions, to actually keep their business alive. This is a people business. And that's what I learned from that whole experience. To keep this business alive, you continue the conversations, right? I also then decided to become a YouTube host. I worked on the Tiger, Good Morning Thailand, right? And I learned another valuable lesson. I got a vaccination, and I got a death threat. Not only did I get one death threat, I got 2 death threats. So I sent the entire book of Revelations by somebody saying, "Mark of the beast, you've had the vaccination, I will kill you," okay? And what I learned was also, it's a divided entity. No longer, we're not all in this together. Everybody has an opinion about the pandemic. And again, how do you unify? So it was a good lesson, because the world has changed. You know, we advocated the Phuket Sandbox, and people would come to me and say, "Why are you tourism guy? You know, don't you understand we're doomed?" Okay? So I worked all that through and said, what else can I do? How do I reinvent? I took my staff and we created a home care digital platform called Saijai, okay? No pitch here, but what I learned was, let's create another business. Let's use our resources, go digital, do something with people who have time, okay? Maybe it's gonna work, maybe it's not gonna do work. What do I know about digital before this? Nothing, okay? But I learned, I rethought, I retooled my staff even to say, how can we do digital thinking, right? Suddenly I was pitching to 28-year-old VCs who kind of looked at me in the camera and said, how old are you? Anyway, what it taught me was you can do anything you think you can, right? Just have that drive and ambition, okay? Today downstairs, we had 8 tourism leaders, a Thailand tourism pledge. We had CEOs from most major companies, hotel companies in Thailand. Because what we learned during the pandemic, and I learned in Phuket first, was this was the first time we saw the public and private sector united. We saw conversations. We saw not people competing. We understood as an industry we were working together, right? And what we've outlined in this document is saying tourism is important, okay? It's an important industry. It's the face of this country. And it couldn't be more important, right? It's an economic engine, but it's also the face of nation. When people visit Thailand, they understand brand Thailand. That's how important it is. But we also look at the human element to it as well, jobs, right? How are we going to get people interested to be passionate? I love the hotel business. I do it for nothing. People who sit in this room who work in hotels understand it's different than any other business. But how are we going to take kids who want to do crypto, who want to be KOLs and work in this industry, right? We can always say the pandemic ended the labor shortages and pushed people out of our business. That's not true, okay? That's absolute bullshit. Because at the end of the day, this was going to happen anyway. Labor costs, high everything else, you're meeting Western standards, and people have to learn to do things differently. The pandemic has accelerated what was going to happen, and we have to rethink our business. So today when we sit here, I want to tell stories today, and we want to talk to people and find what are the ideas going forward. It's a new format today. I was actually going to step down as moderator of this and have new people doing it. That didn't happen, okay? But what we understand at the end of the day is we have to change. Everything changes in a minute, and our business has to change and rethink itself as well, right? But the one thing I know is that I've been in Thailand 22 years, and I love it here. And when people say, is tourism going to be back in this country? You bet. I don't have an ounce of thinking about that. People will get on airplanes, people will travel, but we have to fight for it, and we have to work together. When you look to your left and look to your right today, you say, this is Thai Tourism United, right? And what is united? That's what's most important thing is today. So that's our theme today for the Thailand Tourism Forum, is united, right? Okay? We've got, Jesus, can't you guys do it right? Can't you guys even spell? Can you fix this? Now that's more like it. Enjoy the show, everybody. Thailand Tourism Forum 2022.